So my advice to everyone out there who's frustrated, sad, angry, pissed off, feel those emotions, go to a kickboxing class, have a margarita, do whatever you need to do this weekend, and then wake up on Monday morning, we gotta keep fighting. And what that means, Lindsay, is we have to keep talking to members about federal legislation. That's essential. That's something that can be permanent, that can make sure people's rights are protected. But we also need to make sure people are educated in states across the country about what their rights are, how they can vote, when they can vote, how to request an absentee ballot. There's a lot we need to do on that front, and that's gonna rely on the energy and the anger of that activism as well.
Okay, so I was a little bit trolling in the beginning there. So that is Jen Psaki reacting to, of course, the fact that the voting rights legislation has failed because any hope of the filibuster being reformed, and that word can mean so much. The actual voting threshold being permanently reduced would be a reform, but we could even be talking about something as simple as making them actually filibuster when they filibuster. None of that is going to happen. As a result, voting rights is done. The Build Back Better is gonna be carved up into a bunch of different pieces. Every one of those pieces will also be filibustered. So that is a massive failure for the Democratic Party, a massive failure for Joe Biden. And we're capping off the week with Jen Psaki appearing to make it all about us. We need to go out there and do something. We need to put more pressure. We need to organize and be active and deliver the House and the Senate and the presidency of the Democrats over the course of 2 elections? I feel like we already did that, actually. I feel like maybe she could spend a little bit less time talking to the press, which admittedly is her job, but she certainly has Joe Biden's phone number. I feel like she could ring him up and get him to be a part of this process too.
So I think that short clip is telling in a lot of ways. First, it's their mindset. Who the hell's going kickboxing and knocking back margaritas? Now, the correct answer is everyone Jen Psaki knows. So in that elite class, they think like, ooh, I gotta unwind a little bit and do some kickboxing. Maybe go out on the boat this weekend. Luckily the Volvo's in great shape and that'll keep me safe. I mean, come on, man. Like, look, yesterday we did a story about how the median family income, according to the Social Security Administration in America, is around $34,000. Those folks don't have time to go kickboxing and have margaritas because they got to go to their second job. So just wake up to the reality of the planet. You're supposed to represent all of us, but everyone in those elite circles thinks the same way. Today she was on The View, they were kissing her ass left, right, and in the middle. Oh my God, Jen Psaki, you're so great, Jen, you're so great. Oh, please, Jesus Christ. Okay, but much more importantly, guys, look, what she's saying here is their strategy going forward. And you saw Paul Begala say it, we covered that as well. Since they realize, with the filibuster intact, we're literally going to get nothing else done. And our administration is over. What we're gonna shift our focus to is taking your anger over our incompetence and failures and saying, harness that to vote for us more. Oh my God, that's your loser strategy? And the answer is a resounding yes. That is what you will hear in the upcoming weeks and months and years as Democrats try the worst political strategy of my lifetime, blaming the voters.
Yeah, and to what you were saying, Cenk, about her being elite, I saw someone on Twitter today call her the final boss of the coastal elites. And I think this video is like very, the epitome of why, excuse me, that she is that. And I do wanna say, I think she gets a lot of unfair criticism that is sexist from the right. But I think that they then, her and the administration, use that as a shield from the fair criticism that she's getting from the left, because her job is to communicate on behalf of the administration, but it's just gaffe after gaffe. She can't go speak publicly without saying something ridiculous. I mean, my New Year's resolution was to kickbox more. I've been kickboxing from this very room every day of for the past 2 weeks. Shockingly, I'm still mad about us not passing voting rights legislation. According to Jen Psaki, that should, I should feel fulfilled now. But I think that like her inability to effectively communicate is just more emblematic of the administration's impotence more broadly. I mean, Joe Biden has been unable to deliver on almost any of the promises that he ran on. And now she's saying that it's our fault that the administration won't go to fight for voting rights. I mean, if anyone needs to take kickboxing classes, it's Joe Biden and Jen Psaki so that they can whip Joe Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema into shape and get them on their side.
Yeah. I'm sorry, Cenk. I'm gonna have to side with Ravana. I'm pro kickboxing. It's not necessarily my taste. I wish that it was safe, pandemic-wise, to go back and do more Krav Maga. But anyway, whatever you use to get out some of the anger you feel, I'm fine with, and you'll feel a lot of it over the next few years because I will now side with Cenk. It's over. And to Ravana's point about the unfair criticism that Jen Psaki gets, I think that is true. I take her at her job at face value, that she is just delivering whatever Joe Biden actually believes. So I don't believe she's really expressing anything about herself. I believe she is actually expressing the stance of the Biden administration, that they are now shifting into, oh sure, we're gonna pretend that we're doing stuff. We're gonna carve up Build Back Better and waste a couple of weeks trying to get some Republicans on board, and then that'll fail. And hey, it's the elections, we don't have to do this anymore. And that is a failure in all the ways that both of you just said, but it's also an extra hidden failure in that Joe Biden could be incredibly frustrated with Joe Manchin or Sinema. In theory, he could even call them out, even though he won't. He could be mad about the state of the Senate and all of that. But he could also have sent out Jen Psaki this week to say, look, we have a messed up system with structural inequities built into every single level that are only being amplified by centuries of voter suppression that's getting worse with every passing year. I wanted to fix that, but the system is so messed up that in the short term, we can't do that. The Senate is effectively dead. It's an undemocratic body. And for that reason, I am going to wow you on a daily basis with all of the things that I'm going to do via executive orders and executive actions. I have no intention of letting either Mitch McConnell or Kyrsten Sinema close the coffin on my presidency. And so I am going to do action after action after action to show the people that we value your vote and the activism and organizing that you did. And it was not in vain, and we're gonna get some stuff done. But that isn't what they did. They said, go back out there and organize some more, out-organize the suppression. And that is just a massive dereliction of duty. He can't control the Senate. He can definitely control himself though. And he is apparently throwing in the towel.
So look, this is why the rest of the media gets mad at us, because we say things that are true. So this is a fact. You could verify it anywhere. Joe Biden, if he wants, can just take away $10,000 of your student debt. That's what he promised during the campaign. He could do it through executive order. In fact, back in April, now over 9 months ago, he commissioned a study to see if he could do it. My guess is the study came back and said, yes, you can do it. And that's why he buried it, because he was lying. He never wanted to do it. And yes, the rest of the press, it's not just Donald Trump. You can call other politicians liars, because almost all of them are. That was an unmitigated lie by Joe Biden. He could declassify marijuana. By the way, that's not just an issue of marijuana and freedom, et cetera. It's an issue of criminal justice reform, et cetera. He could do that through executive action. There is no question that he can, and he's choosing not to, because he was always lying. He never meant any of it. He's conservative, he serves his donors. The rest is all marketing. So when The View says about Jen Psaki, I enjoy your press conferences so much, and they say the lovely and talented Jen Psaki, and they beg her not to retire because she's just so great. What they're saying is you're doing a great job of doing marketing for corporate rule. We really love corporate rule where nothing gets done for the American people, and you're a really good and sophisticated, they would say, prevaricator. The other word for that is liar on behalf of corporate rule. Yeah. You can get hurt over that, and if you're a moderate Democrat and you got brainwashed by the New York Times and MSNBC your whole life, you will. You'll be like, oh, that's outrageous. Jen Psaki I relate to her. She's like me. She can't be lying. All right, God bless, go to your kickboxing class and drink your margarita. But she doesn't relate to all of us, and she's definitely lying when she says there's nothing Joe Biden can do, and you should take your anger at us and use it to vote more for us. That makes no logical sense, and no journalist in their right mind would entertain that as a logical idea if they weren't completely wedded to corporate rule.
I will give Jen Psaki credit for one thing and one thing only, and that is that her gaffe about, well, what should we do? Send everyone a COVID test? Kind of pigeonholed the administration into having to send people free COVID tests, because I think without that public outrage at her ridiculous statement, maybe we wouldn't be getting those. And the ones we're getting are still not enough, and the restrictions on them are still far too arbitrary and ridiculous. But I mean, at least in that moment, her misstep got us something good.
Thanks for watching the Young Turks. Really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.